Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Charlene Israel. There is good news this week from the Federal Reserve. Chairman Ben Bernanke says the U.S. economy is improving and doesn't need as much help from the government as in recent years. Gary Lane has more.
Federal Reserve Board Chairman Ben Bernanke is optimistic about an improving U.S. economy. But he says the Fed will take a go-slow approach. It will continue the stimulus, including the purchase of $85 billion worth of bonds each month. But Bernanke says as the economy continues to improve, the stimulus efforts will be scaled back.
We will continue to reduce the pace of purchases in measured steps through the first half of next year, ending purchases around mid-year.
While unemployment remains high, currently at 7.6%, Bernanke and other economists believe the rate could drop to as low as 6.5% sometime next year. Bernanke says an increase in new home construction and sales have boosted the economy.
The housing sector, which has been a drag on growth since the crisis, is now obviously a support to growth. It's not only creating construction jobs, but as house prices rise, increase household wealth.
Higher interest rates will have an impact on consumers, making it more costly to buy cars and homes. Mortgage rates already have risen 0.5% since May and are now above 4%. They haven't been this high in more than a year. Sarah and David Turnbull are prospective first home buyers in Newberry Park, California. They want to get in before the rates go higher.
People are really thinking that makes a big difference in my monthly payment and what I can afford.
That's because every 1% increase in home mortgage rates makes owning a home about 10% more costly. A 1% increase means the monthly payment on a $500,000 home would increase more than $239. As for car loans, the higher rates mean it will cost Sarah and Jeff an additional $200 per year to replace their current vehicle. The upside is Americans will earn higher interest on their savings accounts and CDs. Gary Lane, CBN News.
After special targeting by the IRS, Tea Party groups gathered on Capitol Hill to say it's time for Americans to target the tax agency. On Wednesday, thousands rallied for an event they called Audit the IRS. Paul Strand has the story.
Capitol Hill flooded with Tea Party types upset about the IRS targeting groups like theirs for special scrutiny and what some would call harassment.
Horribly offended. Wouldn't matter if it was just conservative groups. Everybody should be concerned about it because it takes away our liberties no matter who you are.
Even the liberals need to start standing up because they're taking away our rights one after another.
Who will stand up and speak if we all don't stand together? Whenever any one of us is targeted, we should all be concerned.
This surpasses left and right. This is American citizens versus big government.
Becky Garrettson became a new Tea Party hero when she went before Congress a few days ago to say Washington politicians aren't in charge of this country.
They have forgotten their place. They act like lords over us and treat us like we're the serfs, and they need to get that back in balance.
Larry Nordvig, Richmond Tea Party executive director, said the IRS wrapped his group up in knots for more than 2 years just before the crucial 2012 election.
We were messing around with the IRS and producing 500 plus pages of documents instead of being out there advocating and educating, which is what our mission is. So it knocked us off mission during the election cycle.
Jenny Beth Martin's Tea Party Patriots organized this rally.
The Constitution is designed to constrain the government. This knowledge in the hands of free people is a threat to those who lust for power and authority.
I feel what the Obama administration has done is essentially McCarthyism of the left. And not only that, it is combined with the mob politics of Chicago.
And if this broad federal government can track every phone call, if they can track every internet activity you have, if they can track your credit card, if they can track your cell phone, and if the IRS then can have a software package to focus their enforcement on the enemies of the President of the United States, this big brother has gotten a lot creepier than George Orwell thought it would ever get.
The main message from these protesters seemed to be, this time around, Tea Party, Christian, and conservative groups might have been targeted, but all Americans have to be on guard about all their liberties because we all rise and fall as Americans together. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Capitol Hill.
President Obama wants to reduce the world's nuclear stockpiles. In a speech in Germany Wednesday, the president called on the U.S. and Russia to embrace the spirit that Berlin displayed when it fought to reunite during the Cold War.
We can ensure the security of America and our allies and maintain a strong and credible strategic deterrent while reducing our deployed strategic nuclear weapons by up to 1/3. For throughout all this...
The president also renewed his call to tackle climate change, calling it the global threat of our time. The Taliban is offering to exchange a captive American soldier for prisoners held in Guantanamo Bay. U.S. Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl disappeared in Afghanistan in 2009. A Taliban representative reportedly told the Associated Press that Bergdahl is in good condition. The offer comes as the White House says it will begin talks with the Taliban about ending the war in Afghanistan. George Thomas has the details.
President Obama says talks with the Taliban are an important step towards reconciliation and future peace in Afghanistan.
Although it's a very early step, we anticipate there will be a lot of bumps in the road.
The U.S. wants the Taliban to renounce ties with al-Qaeda, back the Afghan constitution, and help protect women and minority groups. In exchange, the Taliban wants the U.S. to release prisoners from Guantanamo Bay and all foreign forces out of Afghanistan. Not exactly an easy set of conditions to meet.
I want to repeat, we don't anticipate this process will be easy or quick, but we must pursue it.
Hours after announcing the U.S.-Taliban talks, Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai said he wanted no part in it, insisting that any discussions with Taliban insurgents must be Afghan-led and not U.S.-led. All this talk of negotiations didn't stop the Taliban from killing 4 U.S. soldiers at an airbase outside Kabul Tuesday. Several more were injured in the attack. The Taliban is an Islamic radical group that ruled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001. It believes in practicing a strict form of Islam where women are veiled, men grow their beards, and those caught stealing or committing adultery must be publicly executed or have their hands amputated. Meanwhile, after 12 years of leading the charge, American forces are now taking a back seat in Afghanistan.
We will follow the orders of the Afghan army, absolutely.
It's a big change.
It's a good change.
Afghan soldiers and police took official control of protecting their own country this week as the United States aims to withdraw all its forces by next year. George Thomas, CBN News.
A new documentary claims the cause of a 1996 plane crash near Long Island, New York was covered up. TWA Flight 800 exploded over the ocean, killing 230 people. A 4-year investigation concluded that the cause of the blast was an exploding fuel tank. But now, 6 retired investigators say the final report was falsified.
The general consensus is it was either a terrorist attack that they wanted to ignore or an accident as a result of military operations that went wrong and they didn't want to acknowledge responsibility for it.
The investigators say they have radar and forensic evidence to prove the explosion came from outside the plane. They're calling for federal investigators to reopen the case. FBI Director Robert Mueller told Congress that the growing use of domestic drone surveillance calls for a debate on how and when they should be used. Mueller said the FBI currently uses unmanned aerial vehicles on a limited basis and only on stationary objects. But he said concerns over the use of airspace and the threat to privacy should be addressed as drones become more, quote, omnipresent. Mueller said the FBI is developing guidelines for drones use, but the topic is worthy of debate and perhaps legislation in the future. A humanist group is suing a California city for funding a monument depicting a soldier kneeling at a gravestone with a cross on it. The 6-foot-tall black granite monument to veterans would stand in front of the Lake Elsinore Diamond Baseball Stadium. It features a World War II soldier kneeling at the gravesite of a fallen comrade, with other graves showing crosses and stars of David. The American Humanist Association claims it's a government-sponsored religious symbol. The Pacific Justice Institute is representing the city and says the suit is a desperate attempt to remove Christianity from the public square.
The war memorial is not unconstitutional. It doesn't endorse a religion simply because it depicts a cemetery from World War II where it has crosses and stars of David shown as grave markings. This is about remembering those who've died and fought for freedom and liberty. And we at the Pacific Justice Institute are hopeful that the courts will agree with our assessment.
The Institute points out that religious symbols are found at national cemeteries across the nation, including Arlington in Washington, D.C. The city says the memorial was meant to depict a World War II soldier mourning a comrade and wasn't intended to have a religious message. Coming up, Time magazine calls him one of the most influential people in the world, but his friends call him something else, Pastor Choco.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary? Oh, yes, that was terrible. Yes, it was. Help! And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
When Wilfredo de Jesus was picked to become the senior pastor of New Life Covenant, the small church in the heart of Chicago had just 68 members. Since then, the church has expanded its base and its reach, and according to Pastor de Jesus, all it took was a little amazing faith.
Pastor Wilfredo de Jesus, better known as Pastor Choco, is one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of 2013. He's been the senior pastor of New Life Covenant Church for over a decade with 14,000 members. It's the largest Assemblies of God church in the U.S. and has 135 worldwide ministries. Pastor Choco grew up in a rough Chicago neighborhood, and his future didn't look good. Then at 14, his life turned around and he found his destiny. His book, Amazing Faith, shares life stories that show no one is too lost or too hopeless for God's love and how to find your purpose.
And joining us now is Pastor de Jesus. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here this morning.
Awesome. Tell us a little about the people that your church tries to reach, especially in a huge city like Chicago.
Yeah, basically the people that we try to reach are the ones that nobody wants. Those who are destitute, those who are marginalized, who are suffering. And we just, as a church, New Life Covenant, go after those people.
How is the church in general meeting or not meeting the unique needs of Hispanics in this country?
New Life Covenant has been a church that is diverse of many people. And so we want to make sure we meet the needs of all sorts of people. Yes, I'm Hispanic, but I first represent the kingdom of God. Amen. And I'm an ambassador of his kingdom. And so we bring in all sorts of people and try to meet everyone's need.
And tell us some of the ways that you're doing that.
Well, we're doing it through the Dream Center. We're doing it, which is a place where women can come out of the streets from prostitution, drug addiction, a Manna for Life, which feeds hungry people, around 200 people every Saturday, averages. Bridge to Life, we send out our vans under the bridges of the city of Chicago to feed the homeless. Gangs to Grace, youth ministry, children's ministries. So these are some of the ministries that begin to touch lives right where they're at.
As a leader of a church with 14,000 members, what are you doing to attract so many people?
So I think our worship, our message, uncompromising message of the gospel of Jesus Christ attracts the people. Our ministries, that people get involved, and that we do what we say we're going to do. with the stewardship, with the monies that God has given us.
You are the VP for Social Justice with the country's largest association of Hispanic churches. What would you say are the toughest issues of the day, and what are you doing about them?
Yeah, I think some of the toughest issues that facing America is the issue of immigration, which is dear to us as NHCLC. And what we're doing to address that, a few years ago, I traveled the nation to cities talking about immigration, exposing elected officials, exposing religious leaders to the issues of immigration. That's one issue. Education, it's another issue. Housing, how our people are being treated. And so that's the part of social justice. It's not only preaching on the pulpit, but being able to be the voice to those who are voiceless.
What are some of the most important lessons that you've learned as you have followed Christ and you're serving others? I understand you've written a book about that as well.
Yeah. One of the lessons I've learned is the faith. You really don't see your faith grow until you activate it. As Christians here in America, our faith has been on a shelf, right? We've been a prosperous nation, so why do we need God? Until all that is taken away, then you got to go back to that shelf and see where your faith is.
Pastor Wilfredo de Jesus, thank you so much for joining us. God bless you.
Thank you.
Up next, Morning Joe, why this former Republican congressman says he's still conservative, even though he works for the most liberal news network in the nation.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
MSNBC television host Joe Scarborough wants people to know that he's a diehard conservative, but not everyone's convinced. The former congressman turned TV personality has his critics, and some of them say he suffers from liberal media disease. David Brody went up to New York City for a closer look at the man behind the anchor desk.
Okay, we have 30 seconds.
On the set of Morning Joe, Scarborough is at ease, a virtual oasis free from the political arrows aimed at him from conservative media circles.
I used to be friends with Joe. Joe used to, I think, be a conservative.
On MSNBC, the biggest idiot of them all, Joe Scarborough.
Boy, have you taken hits, slings and arrows. And
it's something Scarborough may laugh about, but he's also fighting back.
They're bullies. Punch them in the face, and they back off.
Being criticized by fellow conservatives is unusual for Scarborough. During the 1990s, he represented one of Florida's most conservative districts, and he helped deliver a balanced federal budget. Nowadays, he speaks about a reliance on God Almighty, something the evangelical host believes in wholeheartedly. He grew up as an active Southern Baptist, whose faith journey became even stronger in high school.
Faith in the God that was revealed in the Sermon on the Mount is the perfect antidote to the meism of our time.
And it is his faith that got him through some rough times. He resigned from Congress after only 6 years because of challenges at home. One of his sons, Andrew, has a slight form of autism. The other, Joey, emotionally needed his Washington, D.C.-based father present back at home.
He just said, Dad, I need you at home. We went to a family counselor, and the family counselor said, you can either come to Pensacola or your son can go up to Washington, D.C., but if you don't do that, bad things are going to start happening.
Something needs to change.
Something needs to change. I always tell people it was the hardest decision I ever made, but it was the easiest decision I ever made.
Today, Scarborough is dealing with a different issue, being the punching bag for conservatives on the far right.
I have committed the unpardonable sin of not judging people for what they believe.
It drives diehard conservatives nuts that he's chummy with liberal politicians, including many within the Obama administration. But Scarborough, who grew up in the church and likes to quote scripture, offers this biblical parallel.
Jesus didn't hang out with the religious leaders. He didn't hang out with the people that patted him on the back. He hung out with the tax collectors. He hung out with those that others had contempt for.
Another issue is that he breaks party ranks. Remember when Republican Governor Chris Christie welcomed President Obama for a Hurricane Sandy photo op just days before the 2012 election? While conservatives roundly criticized the Kodak moment, Scarborough had no problem with it.
Chris Christie was doing his job, and you know what? He should be saluted for it.
Adding more fuel to the fire, the Newtown massacre.
For the sake of my 4 children and yours, I choose life and I choose change.
That really stoked the flames when the guy with a stellar NRA rating softened his position on gun control, leading to on-air arguments with conservative lawmakers.
No, I'm asking.
That's the reality here.
It?
It's not a gun problem.
It's not
There's
a gun
person
problem.
doing that.
Oh, really?
Scarborough says any battle that he has with the right is about how to win elections. He contends those siding with screaming radio talk show hosts won't be part of the winning ticket.
Most of these guys couldn't get elected dog catcher. Getting a big audience on radio and winning elections, those are 2 completely different things.
But the millions who tune into these shows label Scarborough as a dreaded rhino, Republican in name only.
I may be a rhino in that in 2013, I am focused on winning. Ronald Reagan was conservative ideologically. He was moderate temperamentally. If we're going to ever get back into the White House, if we're going to win the suburbs of Philadelphia, if we're going to win the Florida I-4 corridor, if we're going to win the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, we've got to understand that we've got to reach out to people who don't usually vote Republican.
Despite this tough love for conservatives, Scarborough calls out the other side, too, whether it's reprimanding top Democrats,
Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic Party are out of touch,
or fighting with top Obama aides.
Don't shift this to me. Answer my question.
And Scarborough will call out the media, too, like when there was initial reluctance to link the Boston Marathon bombers to Islamic terrorism.
Can you imagine if those bombers were right-wing extremists like McVeigh?
Right.
We would still be hearing about it today. Whenever I'm pulling my hair out because I think the media is being too liberal and too biased, I just, as a reflex, as a conservative, I turn to Fox News. I watch Fox News, and I'm like, it's like I've jumped into a warm swimming pool.
Actually, the water analogy works pretty well when talking about 4 a.m. wake-up calls and the 6-year grind of morning television.
You should see Tom Hanks in Castaway, and I kind of feel like I'm on that raft, and it always knocks me back.
But the waves haven't stopped him from hosting a very popular cable morning show that helps set the political discussion in America.
The influencers watch this show.
And they do so because of Scarborough's ability to come across as a reasoned conservative on an intentionally liberal-minded network. That breezy attitude, by the way, also plays out on another stage. He loves playing the guitar, and his idol, Paul McCartney.
He was sort of more of the sane rational of the Beatles, sort of kind of kept them, tried to keep them a bit more mainstream.
And oh, by the way, that's exactly the message Scarborough is trying to preach to his conservative Republican friends. David Brody, CBN News, New York.
David is talking with newsmakers in the political arena every day, and you can see his daily reports on his blog, The Brody File. Find it at our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back after this.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
An Arizona father and daughter are reunited after 24 years, all because of a shared desire to serve God and others.
I just felt like this is where I needed to be.
I found myself just kind of drawn here.
Amy Roberson always knew she was adopted and had recently started looking for her birth parents. During her search, she says the Lord told her to volunteer at a local homeless shelter. Miraculously, the Lord impressed the same desire on her biological father. The two worked together for an entire year before learning the truth.
That I had a daughter. So when I came across her name, for about 6 months, I specifically began praying one specific prayer. And that is, I don't know if she knows Christ, but if you cannot bring me into her life, bring someone who will deliver that gospel message to her.
It's because of my father that I came to have a relationship with Christ.
Amy's dad overcame his past addictions and now serves as a pastor at the Mission. What a truly inspirational and miraculous story. God bless them both. That's going to do it for the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you join us next time. Have a great day. God bless.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. all the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.